We've got a fun Sunday night football matchup here as Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots fly out to Denver, take on Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, and the Broncos. And Ryan, I'm surprised this game wasn't flexed out just with the way the season was going. I bet if the Broncos hadn't had a midseason resurgence, that probably would have been. I don't think they want this these two teams playing on Sunday night. But there are some playoff implications too. It is also Bill Belichick as well, and I think I think this embodies the type of season that your Patriots are having is up really until Bailey Zappi kind of established himself as a starter. By that I mean like Mac Jones
Gave him the job.
Yeah, that Mac Jones said here, but and then Demario Douglas kind of emerges as now the guy's number one receiver. On our canvas, on our thumbnails, I typically pick like two star players for each team, to have them put up like one tinier one than like the bigger one and something like that. There was a couple weeks there where it was really tough to even find stars for your Patriots team. And I think that just kind of embodies the season that the Patriots had. But also, to your credit, what you've been saying for the longest time on this channel was just the fact that they haven't really drafted well. There's not too much star power here. And there's overall lack of void and talent. Defensively, they're fine. Even then, too, they're one of the better defensive teams in the league, even without Matt Judon and Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
But kind of want to throw it over to you as the Patriots fan. Then we'll talk about the Broncos and we'll get into our predictions here. But what are some of the things that I guess you want to see them do in the offseason?
Well, so I'm going to start off with a little bit of an anecdotal story, but I was watching the Monday Night Football game last night. Jackson Smith and Jigba catch for Seattle to beat Philadelphia. And I just look at that and like the Patriots have nobody like that. And I really like the Christian Gonzalez pick, so I'm not really judging that pick specifically, but there's just no young talent that is making plays for New England on this roster. And I think you go look at most other teams in the league, like your Falcons, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Like I know Kyle Pitts hasn't been utilized correctly, but still he's a young talent that makes some tremendous plays. Christian Watson for Green Bay, I think is the one you look at, like was available when they traded back and took Cole Strange at 29. Like that's the one to me that they really like just completely whiffed on. That draft as a whole is just a complete bust. And I think we're looking at it even just 2 years later, and we're like, all right, well, our first 5 picks are busts in that class. And I think, and then you start going down the list, like N'Keal Harry in 2019 was just a horrible pick. And so really, I want to see them bring in some dynamic players on the offensive side of the ball. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., Calvin Ridley are 3 wide receivers that are all going to be free agents this year. I'm not saying you need to go sign all 3 of them, but go get one. Like bring in some sort of explosive veteran in the offseason, and then definitely draft a guy in the top 50. Right. Mm-hmm. So like if you're not getting a quarterback, you should be coming out of that first round with Marvin Harrison Jr. And then if you're drafting a quarterback in the first round, go get a guy, Troy Franklin, Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, because you're picking at 30, you'd be picking at 34 in the second round. And you could even trade up back into the first round if you really want to get that 5th-year option. And they just have a complete, utter lack of talent on the offensive side of the ball. And there is nobody that is making plays for them. Like even Demario Douglas, I would say, is their most explosive player, but defenses have no respect for the Patriots down the field passing game. And we saw the Chiefs have one of the worst run defenses in the league. And
I'll fact check that here in a second. Go ahead.
I don't know about statistically, but they usually are lined up much more for the pass, but they just stacked the box. They had 8 guys in the box right around the line of scrimmage. And the Patriots, who have an above average running offense, couldn't do anything just because they're running into 8 guys the whole time.
Yeah. Chiefs are just outside the top 10 in overall rushing yards allowed, and only 9 rushing touchdowns on the season, which is one of the better ones. Okay. But I can understand your point though. Like,
they're not an elite run defense.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think, why they're that way is I think the teams have had to somewhat keep up with them this year. And so I don't know. It's just a really frustrating time to be a Patriots fan. I think Bill Belichick is gone, and they're going to be bringing in some new talent. I think they're going to bring in a GM and a coach to try to get the ship right. So, with that being said, I do want to flip over to the Broncos, and I think the Broncos are a perfect example of a team with a lot of talent that has underperformed, and I think they're kind of turning that around. They didn't have a good performance last week, but Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, I don't know how the Patriots are going to cover these guys. They really struggled to cover the Chiefs receivers, and that was with, I think the Chiefs had like 5 drops in that game. Also, the Patriots pass rush is almost non-existent. Christian Barmore, the defensive tackle, is ironically their best pass rusher. He's been, if there's an MVP of this team for this season, it's Christian Barmore. He has been a tremendous presence in the middle of that defense, and if they do not have him, I don't know where this defense is at, especially after the losses of Judon and Gonzalez. So it's going to be a good matchup. I definitely think Bill Belichick will be able to scheme up some defenses to kind of confuse Russell Wilson in this offense, because they do run a pretty simple scheme. They have good wide receivers that can beat corners. I mean, that is kind of some of what they rely on. And then every now and then, like the receivers will just absolutely burn somebody, just because, again, they have those young, talented players that can make plays for their offense.
Yeah. No, this Broncos team definitely, props to Sean Payton. They have him turned around. And I do think we're seeing more consistent play from the quarterback position of Broncos country, but at the same time, it definitely still feels like it's limited, like a lot of checkdowns. Nothing really that's too lethal. They are statistically, defensively, they're not that great, but I also think, as I've mentioned, I think that's top heavy on like that first part of the season, those first 6 games. They do some outliers there. Of course, then they gave a lot of yards this past Saturday, but in general, in the second half of the season, that much improved on the defensive side of the ball, actually helping them win games. And then offensively, they're just being much more efficient. Not Russell Wilson's stat line isn't gonna shock anybody, but unlike in the Lions game, it didn't have too many turnovers throughout like this stretch of good play. He's been making good throws, actually being efficient in the red zone. So they're definitely going to want to reverse what happened on Saturday and just that overall performance. Going into Ford Field is going to be a tough place. But that being said, though, to your point, it's still a Bill Belichick defense. Broncos really struggle to run the ball. The Patriots are, if there is one thing I think they're good at offensively, is actually running the ball. It's really, honestly, their main strength. Hopefully, Ramondre Stevenson does come back. Ezekiel Elliott's been trying to carry the weight, but Stevenson is actually also one of your guys' better players as well. But in general, though, I mean, I could definitely see the Patriots winning this game, but I'm just curious. They're always going to need to have like a offensive explosion, like how they did against the Steelers in that first quarter, and get 3 touchdowns, and then just kind of like hold.
Yeah. So I was listening to a Patriots podcast, and Bailey Zappi's QBR in the first half is like 116.7 or something, which leads the NFL in first half. And then his QBR in the second half is like 45.6, which is last in the NFL. So like the juxtaposition of like how the Patriots are playing is kind of crazy, just because like I guess they have an offensive game plan, and then like they cannot adjust. Like they are so limited offensively in what they can do, and it's so hard. But they do have a really good run defense. Like I mentioned, Christian Barmore has been an absolute monster for the Patriots, and they were. This was true last week. I'm not sure if it's still true this week, but the Patriots are number 1 in every single run defense category in the NFL. So like yards per game, DVOA, rushing touchdowns, anything, they're number 1 in that statistic. So it'll be interesting to kind of see. But let's go ahead and get into predictions here. But before we do that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I, we have a unique goal of getting 2,333 subscribers by the new year. I know that's a unique number, but if we hit that number, it would get us to 2,000 subscribers on a calendar year, which would be really, really cool to see. And with that being said, Tyler, I'm going to throw it over to you. Who do you have coming out ahead in this matchup?
Man, I really want to go with your Patriots here because also in our season-long competition, I'm 8 games back. But I am just struggling to see. It kind of goes to what I was saying in these past couple of weeks where they beat the Steelers, and then when they were leading against the Chiefs for the first half of the game, they just had an offensive explosion in the first half, and also even good defensive play as well, where like you pick off Patrick Mahomes, and then you're stopping the Steelers, and then Bailey Zappi turns into Tom Brady for a half, and they just get up. Then they played really well in the first half, and then just couldn't stop anything in the second half. And I was feeling it's going to be something similar here, except the Denver Broncos defense is, I would say, up there. I would say on par with those two defenses of the team I just mentioned as well. So I think it's going to be a similar type of style of play, a tough defense that they're going to be going up against. I just don't know over a 60-minute game. And Denver, to me, has shown that they can now like start to move the ball and have some good drives here. Seem to be more efficient. Nothing that's going to be super scary, like maybe a deep ball here or there. But I think they'll be able to methodically move the ball down the field against the Patriots. And so I am going to go with your Broncos here on this one, even though I need to find games here that I think have good opportunities to pick that you'll pick differently and you'll be wrong on.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Denver too. One, I want New England to lose. I want to keep that draft status at number 2. But 2, I just think I look at this matchup, and the only reason that the Patriots ever even led in the Chiefs game and were even really in it was the Chiefs had 2 interceptions and a fumble, and like other than that, if Kadarius Toney could catch a freaking football, like there would be no that game would not have been close. It would have been 34-10 instead of 27-17. Like all Denver has to do is just not give this New England defense the opportunity to put points on the board or give this offense a short field, because this offense is a disgrace of an offense in football. I can't believe I'm saying this, but like last year's offense for the Patriots was a good bit better, and they were still last in the NFL in a lot of offensive categories. And so I don't think this run defense is going to be enough. It's not going to be like a frigid cold game. Like I think the kickoff temperature is going to be like almost 40. And so I still think Denver's going to be able to come in and throw the ball. And I think mentally New England's just done. I think Bill Belichick quit at the end of the last game. They were down 10, and there was a 4th and 2 with like 2:45 left, and he just punted. He didn't even try to go for it, even though they were in their own territory. And I think that speaks leaps and bounds of like the mentality of this Patriots football team right now. And so I think this will kind of be a similar game to the Denver Broncos versus Chargers game a few weeks ago, where it's going to be 7-0, then it's going to be 10-0, 13-0, and then like the Broncos will hit an explosive play, and then all of a sudden it's blown wide open, like 20-0. Just because, and I just don't think that the Broncos are going to let Bailey Zappi have that first half explosion, because I think teams have shown if you can just get in his face, he's not that good. So
yeah.
And this offensive line lost Cole Strange, who had been playing well, and once when that started happening and they started bringing blitz packages, it was open season on Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's I'm very curious to see what's going to happen in the offseason with the Patriots. So you've been saying all along for over a year now about Billy Belichick being on the hot seat. No one's really agreed with you until I guess they're 3-10. So
I'm ahead of the curve.
You're ahead of the curve. You have a head like a curve. So
yeah. I think you look at his body of work, not just as a head coach, but also as a GM. And I think at the very least they should bring in a GM, but I don't think Bill Belichick is going to be in a position where he's going to be willing to talk about giving up responsibilities for this football team. I think at that point you have to just completely cut bait. So let's just go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and help Tyler and I reach that goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers. We would really appreciate it if we could hit that goal by the end of this calendar year. And while you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Do you think the Patriots have a shot? Do you think the Broncos are going to win by multiple scores? Let us know what you think down below. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.